Hello from day 39. This isn't actually day 39. We had a problem with the video.
Yeah, so we're
updating
it.
We're redoing it because there was, several problems with it. But on day 39, we did a 0 at the Lake Lodge in Greenwood.
New
and
Jersey, right?
The day prior to that, on the 38th, we were rained on so heavy, and day 39 we spent, we got our clothes all washed and dried. Our backpacks, our shoes were...
Yeah, the shoes stayed out in the sun pretty much.
We dried everything out in the sun, and that's what we worked on during the day,
right.
Just getting everything dry. We had to take everything out of the packs.
It was awful. We were just absolutely soaked.
And so what we did in the original video, which had some problems, was we've had a lot of questions about words that we used, frequently used trail words. So what we thought we would do is just kind of explain some of them. And if you have questions that we've said something, or
it sparks an interest.
And it sparks an interest, or you want to know how we do something, just put it down in the comments, and we'll try to answer your questions. Because I know it's frustrating when you go, they keep saying Nobo. What is that? Or some other phrase.
So let's just go ahead and get into it.
So the first one is Nobo. And do you know what that is?
Yes. Northbound.
You're going from the south, heading north.
Which Sobo is south.
Heading south.
Southbound.
You're north and you're headed south. We're doing a flip-flop. It means we're starting somewhere other than the northernmost terminus or the southernmost terminus. We're starting in the middle. And we started at Harper's Ferry, and then we head to the northernmost point, which is Mount Katahdin in Maine. And then we're going to jump back down to Springer Mountain and head north to Harper's Ferry, where we started.
And we might do some flip-flopping also.
Inside that.
But basically, you keep moving.
Yeah, a flip-flop, you're not doing just straight north to south or south to north. Yo-yo. You want to do a yo-yo-yo?
Absolutely not.
We will never do a yo-yo.
And you can figure yo-yo, it's just...
If you start at the southernmost point...
You go to north.
You turn around.
Turn around and do it again.
Go back the other direction. And they say...
And vice versa.
They say that the views are so much different when you're going the opposite direction. So, but yeah, we will never do yo-yo. But there's a lot of people that have done it. And then the other way to hike the trail is a section hike. And that's when you
choose to, say, do Pennsylvania. Or do a section from, like we did.
And then across several years, or there was somebody who posted they had finally finished the trail, and it took them 20 years. Mm-hmm. So it's breaking the trail up into segments, and just doing a segment during the year, not trying to do the whole trail in 1 year.
Right.
And a lash is a long section hike.
Right.
Another phrase we use a lot, and I guess we should start with this one, is AT. And that's just the Appalachian Trail. Yeah. So, one that we get frequent questions about are trail names. And all a trail name is a nickname for you. Nobody goes by their actual name on trail. You get a trail name. And the trail name could be, like Repak's name is, people see him repacking his pack all the time.
Imagine that.
And so his trail name became Repak. Somebody else's trail name is Trail Cam, which somebody suggested for me since I'm documenting the process. And I actually like the idea of that one, except for somebody already has
and
it.
at the same time, really, still searching has sort of sunk in because along the way, and this happens oftentimes, you don't necessarily come up with the trail name, but it's the people around you that say, that would be a good trail name for you.
We were heading down the trail and there was trail magic at the parking lot. And we got to the parking lot and somebody goes, "Oh, are you still searching?" And I was like, I guess that is my trail name now. So, I mean, it means a lot of things. Still searching for a name, but that's my name now. And still searching for where repacked stuff. So.
Now be nice.
Another word or phrase we use a lot is trail magic. And we have been so blessed with trail magic. And trail magic, to me, I think of trail magic as anything nice done to aid or help somebody else on the trail. Whether it be putting a water cache out because we're in drought areas so that as hikers come by, they can refill their bottles. Or an ice chest put out with ice in the heat. And cold sodas or Gatorade or any kind of food that somebody puts out, or even giving somebody a hitch into town, or when we go to a hostel or even sometimes a hotel, there'll be a hiker box where they've got things that they don't need and they set it in for other hikers to look through.
Well, and for example, you need gallon Ziploc bags, but really you don't need 25 of them. And we've done this. We've had a chance to restock and whatnot, and we get some of those, and then we end up taking what we need and then putting the rest into the hiker box. And you'll find those, like she said, at hotels and motels, at hostels, things like that.
At some motels and hotels, not as much,
not
but
everyone. No.
Generally at hostels.
Mm-hmm.
And then a trail angel is
a facilitator.
A facilitator of the trail magic.
Right.
When we're on trail, and it's in our title, the Blazing Boomers, we are always following the blazes. And what a blaze is, it's generally a 2-inch by 6-inch tall white blaze. Different trails have different colors, but the Appalachian Trail is marked by is marked by white blazes, and that's how they're marked pretty frequently on trail. I mean, there's been times where we're searching for the blazes because we can't find them, and then you get a half mile down and you go, "Oh, there's the blaze." But generally, they're a lot closer than that. And it helps keep you on trail.
And when you get closer, like for example, if you're coming into a shelter, oftentimes there will be a sign that says shelter this way, and instead of being on white blazes at that point, you'll go to a blue blaze. And by the way, will take you to the shelter or a spring or privy or whatever.
When we say how many trail miles we have, that's on the white blaze. So if the shelter is a half mile off the trail, that's not included in the trail total miles. Or if you get off trail for 2 miles to go into town, that's not included in the miles for the day either.
Right.
We've seen it a couple of times in the past week, but we'll see it more as we get to New Hampshire. There'll be cairns. And what a cairn is, it's a stack of rocks to help guide you through an area where they don't have trees to mark with blazes. They'll have these cairns, and you'll follow these stacks of rocks across the mountains, especially in New Hampshire, which is coming soon. Sorry, I've got to look at my list because we've had trying to figure out what all questions and looking through our questions. So the next area that we had was lodging. Generally, we stay in shelters, and we talk about shelters.
Or we stay in our tent.
Or we stay in our tent.
Or we stay in a hostel. Or we stay in a motel.
But what a shelter is, mostly, not always, is a 3-sided building with one side open. And it doesn't have to be just one level. Sometimes there's 2. Sometimes it'll have a porch that's covered with a picnic table. And sometimes the picnic table is just way away from the shelter. And
the shelter can generally accommodate anywhere from like 8 hikers, 6 to 8 hikers, to like, in some cases there are some large shelters like in Maryland that can hold anywhere
12 to
from
16.
12 to 16.
We've been in a couple of shelters that only hold 4.
Right. Now, typically at a shelter,
mostly
there
there's
are
6 to
also
8.
at a shelter there will be campsites. There will be tent sites that you can set your tent up as well.
As we go further north, the shelters will start being called lean-tos. They're the exact same thing.
Right.
We stayed in 2 shelters so far that had all 4 sides on their building.
Right.
But all the rest of them have been 3-sided. And tent sites aren't always... Shelters generally have tent sites close to them. But tent sites don't always have shelters.
Right.
And
typically, if you've got a shelter, you would have a privy, an outhouse.
Unless you're in Tennessee.
But in most cases, if you are coming up on a campsite that does not have a shelter, there's not a privy as well. So,
and generally not picnic tables or anything else. It's just
right.
the campsites. And the further north we go, tent sites will be on wooden platforms instead of down on the ground.
Right.
Which is going to be interesting to figure out how to put our tent up on
No,
that.
anyway.
And another tent site area would be a stealth tent site. And all that is it's not a designated tent site, but maybe there's a storm coming up, and you've got to find a way to shelter in fast. You will find an area that's appropriate, that's not on the trail, to get your tent up quickly.
I think typically you want to be, 50 feet? 50 feet off of the trail.
I would have to check that. I'm not sure. You're probably right, but I'm not sure. We've gave you a little video tour of one of the shelters, or one of the hostels we stayed in. I think it was the Lookout Hostel.
Mm-hmm.
But a hostel is similar to a hotel, except it's giving you lodging, but it's not giving you private lodging, although some hostels do have private rooms. It's still not as private. But generally in a hostel, there's a common area, there's a kitchen area, and then there's the bathroom.
Areas where you can charge phones.
And then there's your sleep areas. And some of them just have mattresses or
bunk beds,
couches, or bunk beds for hikers to sleep on. And a lot of the hostels allow tenting outside for a cheaper rate. And those people tenting still have access to the showers. And they generally have laundry rooms. Not all of them do, but most of them do.
And our experiences with the shelters have been, it's a really good
Hostels.
place. Hostels. It's a really good place to meet other hikers. And for example, if there's a question,
find out what's ahead.
How would be like, for example, we got somebody to look at our packs to see if we could pack them more efficiently so that they were more comfortable on our backs.
So that the weight was dispersed a little bit better. Also, hostels sometimes provide shuttles to the trail or to grocery stores. And a lot of the hostels also have resupplies at
At
the hostel, at the location. It is, most of them have a lights out time. After we did Lehigh Gap, when we got off the trail and Pip picked us up and took us to the hostel at the Breezy Hostel.
Breezy House.
When we arrived at the hostel, it was like 8:45, and they have a lights out at 9:00, but they had a common area, and we had pizza delivered. Of course, it was after 9, and we sat and ate pizza in that common area, and it was funny because there was nobody down in the bedrooms,
right,
in the sleep area. Everybody was up watching an old Clint Eastwood movie. So us having food wasn't keeping anybody up. Something that we haven't gotten to yet, and I think it's only in New Hampshire in the White Mountains, is another lodging thing, and that's called huts. And it's still bunk bed like, but they serve food there. But we haven't experienced that one yet, so we'll have to get back to you more on how that one works, because they're out in the middle. There's no roads that go to them. They're out in the middle of nowhere, so we'll have to get more info to you on that. I spoke briefly about hiker boxes, and that's just where if I have something that I don't need but somebody else might need, I'll put it in a hiker box so that somebody else can use it. You don't put trash in there. It's like I brought 4 pair of socks and I only really need 2, and these other 2 pair are not used. You toss them in the hiker box and somebody else that needs them can grab them. Or tape or extra baggies or, just anything. When we're in the shelter or, generally in the shelter, you have to keep your food at night away from where you're sleeping. Yep. You don't want to cook food around your sleep area.
Because it draws critters.
And you don't want those critters to come wake you up at night.
It could be quite a shock if the person that was staying on a tent site, for example, the night before, was not careful with their food and whatnot, and another person comes in and sets up their camp, but the bear smells from
where they were there before.
The people were before.
So
and they're just sort of foraging for food.
So you have 3 options. If there's a bear box,
use it.
And there's not ants and stuff in it.
If you got a bear box, use it.
Drop your food in the bear box, it locks up so that the bear can't get into it. Or if they've got bear poles where you can hang it on the pole. And then, which those options we saw a lot in Maryland and in southern Pennsylvania. In New Jersey and we've seen more of you've got to go throw a rope into a tree and do a bear hang. Right. And we'll do a video on how all that works, because it needs to be 6 feet from the tree. It has to be a good tree. It has to be a strong limb, and needs to be at least 12 feet off the ground. But we'll go over, we'll do a video on how all that works. But you got to get your food away from your sleep area and
away from
you don't want to just set it on the ground, because it won't be there when you wake up in the morning. If the bear doesn't get it, the raccoons will.
Or other animals.
Water.
Hydration is very, very important.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, water is the best hydration, right? But in most cases, it's not like you've got access to a spigot at a park or something like that. Most of the time, we will take a CNOT, which is a plastic bag, heavy plastic, and find the stream and fill up the CNOT with the water from the stream. Take it up to wherever we're cooking or we're filling our bottles of drinking water, and squeeze it through a filter that takes out most of the, it filters the water. It's a good idea not to fill up your CNOT with water that is standing. You want to make sure that water is moving and preferably coming out of the ground, coming out of a spring.
And we filter our water 100%. We don't, if somebody will say, oh, that's coming straight out of the ground, that's good water. We still filter it. And water coming out of the ground is so cold and refreshing.
If you're going through an agricultural area, for example, southern Pennsylvania, we were going through places where there was corn on a field and there were oats on a neighboring field. Well, in order to cultivate those crops, farmers in the area are using fertilizer and whatnot. And in a situation like that,
you don't get that water at all. You don't even get it and filter it. You don't use that water.
But on the Far Out app, and we'll talk about that a little bit too, but on the Far Out app, you can find where water is available. And water is, sometimes it's not necessarily the most convenient place, but typically you can find water at least within, about 5 miles, something like that.
We had a 24 or 5 mile stretch where there wasn't any water. And we ended up we weren't planning on going into a hostel, but we ended up going in because of the water situation. Because water's critical. It's not optional, it's critical.
At the hostel, we're not filtering. We can fill up water bottles much more quickly.
And then another phrase that we use some is cameling up. So when you get your water, you stop and you get your water, you probably want to drink a good portion of that first bottle and then refill it before you start moving on. Right. So you camel up. So moving on, privy.
Outhouse.
It's an outhouse. They don't have, 90% of the time, they don't have toilet paper or anything in it. You bring all your supplies and there's no light. So even during the day, you have to take your headlamp in or crack the door open if you can't get to your lamp.
If you don't have a privy, be prepared to dig a hole.
Which comes to the word cat hole. So Richard, how do you dig a cat hole?
Well,
what's the purpose of it?
It's a poop hole. and typically what you do, what I've found is I find some place that's sort of low anyway, because oftentimes to dig into the ground on the fourth
in
floor,
rocks,
lots of little roots and things like that. So it's not necessarily easy digging a hole.
And you have a metal trowel.
You have a metal trowel, and
you dig it 6 to 8 inches.
6 to 8 inches, and
so we won't spend a whole lot of time on that.
Take care of your business, and then cover it back up. Make sure you cover it back up.
So when we talk about our big three, the items that are in our pack, we're talking about our backpack is part of our big three, our sleeping gear, which is our air mattress and our quilts, and our tent. Those are our big 3 items. Those are the 3 items that weigh the most, that are in your base weight. So those are what your big 3 items. And
adding to that, you'll have food. You'll have
food and water actually weigh the most. So when we talk about our pack weight, there's 2 different parts to the pack weight. You've got your base weight, which includes your big 3 and any items that you don't have to replace regularly, like your headlamp, your cooking gear, any clothes that you have packed. That's all part of your base weight. Things that you have to replenish all the time, like your food and like your water, are not part of your base weight. So my pack base weight, I think 2 weeks ago, is 21.5 pounds. But when I add the food and water, I get closer to 32 pounds. So when I talk about I've got 30 pounds on my back. When we leave, after a resupply, I've got 32 pounds on my back. But the more days that go by, the smaller that weight gets because I'm eating the food out of it. But we've been adding a lot of water to our pack weight because of the drought, and I'm hoping that we're not having to do that a whole lot. Something that we did before we left on trail and we're getting ready to do again is treat our clothes to keep the ticks and mosquitoes and stuff away from us. We treat it with Sawyer permethrin, and what we do is we go out in
hang a line in the backyard.
Wash and dry them. Hang a line in
the backyard and then just spray them down.
Spray them down.
Let it dry.
Generally, you want to do it every 6 to 8 washes, or within every 2 months. But we've been rained on so much, I think we may be past that 6 to 8 times.
I was about to say good luck with that.
Something we have not had to do so far.
Keep your fingers crossed.
Keep your fingers crossed.
Because we would really rather not have to do this.
But you may hear us talk about it in the future, let's hope not, is fording a river or a stream.
And basically,
that means there's no way to cross it and keep your feet dry.
Just
you're
find
having
the most
to cross
shallow area you can
and go across.
Right.
Slack packing.
Slack packing is backpacking with the most minimal materials that you need for the hike, like food.
Somebody's holding
a lunch.
Somebody's holding your
backpack,
your food, your heavy pack food, your bear bag, your tent, your sleeping bed, your sleeping mattress, any extra things that you have, and you're just literally doing a day pack is what it's like.
Basically we did.
We've done two slack packs,
and ideally, what you'd like to have is a small day pack, almost like a lunchbox type.
Repack had to use his.
I had to use
backpack.
mine because I sent my day pack
home.
But
during when we left, I had 8 to 10 pounds on my back, and by the time I drank my water, refilled my water, and drank my water, and ate my lunch and ate my 2 snacks, by the time we got to the shuttle pickup, my pack probably weighed 3 pounds, 4 pounds.
And it's so much easier.
You're able to move faster, and when you're climbing, because we've done some crazy climbs, it's much easier to do those climbs because you're not concentrating on keeping your chest close to the rocks, because if you lean back, the 30 pounds is going to pull you off. So one thing that we have on our pack that I absolutely love, and you'll see sometimes our trekking poles are just hanging on the back of our packs. It's called stick stashers. And they're
And
magnets.
you've got magnets, and basically there's a little cylinder that's attached to the trekking pole with a clamp, and you just take the magnet and put the two magnets together.
It makes it easier, like
it's
when
a really
you're
strong magnet as well.
when you're climbing up a ladder, is if you stash your trekking poles on your backpack, then that frees up both of your hands to climb the ladder. Or you're on an easy walking area and you don't need the sticks. It just makes it a lot easier. The only other one I had on here was switchback.
And a switchback basically is a method. Well, they designed the trail so that you're not going straight up the mountain or straight up the hill. It will be that you'll a series of switchbacks, which might go to the left, and then as the contour as it changes, you might go up to the right, and just keep on going, zigzagging up the top of the hill.
It just makes it more gradual, going like this rather than going straight up.
Right.
Some people hate switchbacks. I love them.
Yeah.
I'd rather take 100 extra steps and it be a gentler rise up the mountain than go straight up and over.
Right.
So we will have less and less switchbacks as we move forward. But I am so grateful when they're there.
Okay. We're getting pretty long on this video.
Yeah, sorry that this one's so long, but if you have questions, put them down in the comment, and we will try to answer them. And we're going to do some other videos to kind of walk through some of the things we do, like setting up camp, right, and how we move through that process. And we love all the comments. Right. Please, they help lift my spirits when I see some of the comments. Yeah. Well, and it's like, well, that was a crazy climb we did, and I don't think the video actually shows how crazy it is. And then I'll see a comment on, how did you do that? And then I go, yeah, I wonder how we did that. But thank you for all the comments and suggestions. I hope this video helps clear up some of the terminology we're using.
Yep.
And happy trails.
Happy trails.